Live from Canada, it's the Crafty Boys. Three men who drink beer and talk about crap. Although we did invite a fourth, but who knows where he is in the depths of Portland, Oregon. He's probably drinking beer. So let's jump right into this thing. What the hell beer is it this week? It is a beer that we have not had.
I have
before.
a question. I have a question for you.
Yes.
How long have we been doing this podcast for?
In about I'm pulling up a calendar. In about a week and a half. We will have been doing it for 22 years.
Holy cow.
And I'm surprised.
3 years.
3 years. 3 years. And even still, I am surprised it has taken us this long to try this beer. This is an old standard here in Canada. It is La Fin Du Monde from Unibroue. Unibroue is located. Where is it located, Shane?
In Montreal, I think.
In Chambly, Quebec.
Oh, well, then I'm totally wrong.
To date, La Fin Du Monde has earned more medals and awards in major international competitions than any other Canadian beer. It is Unibroue's international flagship. It is a, let me just see here. It is a, what is it?
Don't do it, Dave.
It's a triple. It's a triple ale, 9%. I've got some stats here about it.
All right. The last time we did, and then we established this last week, but the last time we did a Unibroue beer was back in episode 8. So that would have been about May of 2015, I think, give or take.
Oh my God.
Okay, so this one here is an IBU.
Guess what, Dave? And none of us have changed.
It has an IBU of 19. It is pleasant, lingering, and has a warm finish. It's a medium body, and the effervescence is slow and sustained. So let's open this thing and give it a go here. Now, I think we've all had this before. I'll admit I haven't had this in a very long time.
I don't believe I've ever had it.
Now, what's interesting about
8, Dave?
For those the uninitiated, Unibroue does not use caps on their bottles. They use a cork with a little doowacky that keeps the cork from
the doowacky. The doowacky.
It's a wire doowacky, and my cork just went flying here. And I'll do my pour.
Now, what style of beer is this, there, Dave?
They're selling this as a Belgian triple.
Yes.
It's very it's peachy, actually. It's very peachy.
It's got a sort of a tinge to it, yeah.
But Mr. Bitches a lot over there, we had the pear something or other.
The pear something or other
from Unibroue in episode 8.
Oh, we had the I will tell you in a sec once I find it.
Now, I believe, if memory serves, in episode 8, I did not have that one. This was one of those episodes where we had different things.
We had 4 different beers in episode 8. We had from Rogue Ales and Spirits, we had Voodoo Donut Pretzel Raspberry and Chocolate Ale.
That's the one I had.
We had the Hazelnut Brown Nectar. We had Blanche de Chamblay, and we had an IPA from Bomber Brewing. So we represented the entire country in that episode.
Yes, we did. Okay, so
although Rogue, actually, sorry, wait a minute, including cross-border relations with Rogue. So
La Fin Du Monde recreates the style of beer originally developed in the Middle Ages by Trappist monks for special occasions. A golden ale, mildly yeasty, with notes of malt, fruit, and spice, followed by a smooth, dry finish. I'm liking this. This is good.
So what do you think, Dave? What have you let's see you. Let's take a sip, man. Show us your visceral reaction.
Well, my visceral reaction.
Do it, man. Do it. What? I beg your tongue. What did you just do?
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm not a huge fan of the finish.
No,
but I like the.
Well, I don't care about what you think about the country and the people. I want to know what you think about the beer.
No, I like the fins. Fins are awesome. I like the flavor of this one. Not like I say, aftertaste. I could do without that. But I do like the flavors, and I like that effervescence that they talk about. I think that's
it's very kind of champagne-y.
It is. It is. Yeah.
In fact, I kind of got that feeling when I pulled the cork out, where there was this bit of a pop, and there's like the mist and.
I like the cork. I think the cork is really cool.
It really adds it seems like it adds a touch of class. Now these come in 750 ml bottles. Le Fin Du Monde, it I guess translates to the end of the world. I don't know why they called it that. But they started brewing this in 1994, and it has remained virtually unchanged since then.
Really?
The label, the bottles, the beer. None of it has changed.
The bottles, the beer, the essence, the love, the death, the size of my
Don't go there.
I don't. Oh, hey, look, the Sundance Film Festival was on.
So basically, I mean, this bottle here could be from 1994. I mean, we never know.
Ooh.
So you're saying they made that beer back in '94, and they're just
they might have
offloading
it. We would have no way of knowing because it's pretty much remained unchanged.
So that leads me to a question, knowing the least of any of us here. How would this thing age?
Well, most beers, especially ones from microbreweries, don't contain any kind of adjuncts or preservatives and tend to, not have like an incredibly long shelf life. I mean, I'd want to drink them within a year, I would say. The only exception would be, like your barley wines or something like that, where, they're made to be stored and aged.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So, I mean, most of these beers that we drink on this show, you'd want to drink them probably ideally within the first 6 months.
Makes
sense.
I
could see that. I could see that. I mean, it's definitely, I don't know. I guess I find some beers in the lighter sort of realm don't keep very well. Darker ones to me seem to, but that of course is just me being in love with darker beers. So of course I'm a bit biased in that realm. But I think that if you are going to be able to you're going to stick something on the shelf. I don't know. I mean, the beer that we have currently on our shelf for the purpose of aging, they're dark. So I don't know. Does a lager, like a really light lager, let's say Molson Canadian, would that keep? Would that be something that you would think would last for a while?
Yes, only because it's loaded with preservatives and adjuncts.
Okay. What about that ginger beer that Dave so loves so much that he wants to drink it every single week?
That's probably got preservatives and stuff in it too.
Yeah, there you go. By the way, I want to point out to our viewing audience that Dave is sporting what I normally am carrying here. Dave, can you explain why you're unshaven this week? Because it's weird, man. It's creeping me the hell out. You've never, like, I cannot remember. I mean, sometimes you have a little peach fuzz going on, but you tend to be, you know, every other day.
Oh,
shaver.
buddy.
I'm impressed at
peach
how
fuzz.
full it is after a week.
I know that this is the thing.
Like,
It's just freaking me
You had
out.
nothing a week ago.
I mean, Alan and I
that's-
need to like drive, you know, away from our homes and look for big red X's spray painted on the road to see if we have like some sort of weird
No.
loss of time.
No, I can grow a full beard in like 3 days.
So, Dave, explain
Like a
yourself.
full
Why are you
gypsy beard.
sporting? Why are you trying to imitate me? What's going on? Why are you trying to look like Alan?
What?
Why
How
are
do
you
we get from
trying?
imitating you to looking like Alan? I
Logic.
felt
All the logic.
okay. I felt that I was just lacking manliness points, so I wanted to boost that by getting the
So
whiskers.
You need to get. Wow. So basically, you're trying to be.
I'm trying to be
manly. Okay.
I'm thinking it's
Manly.
working.
It is. Well, this is the thing. I think you're hot, man. Like you're so hot. You're like Goose in Top Gun hot. That's
Oh,
what
wow.
I'm saying.
Wow,
That's what I'm saying.
that's the pinnacle. That is the absolute
That is the
freaking
pinnacle of
pinnacle
hotness.
right
I mean,
there.
Yeah, screw Val Kilmer. Screw that dude that got killed by the Terminator in 1984. I gotta say,
Wow.
man, you're rocking it well.
Sweet.
Do some posing for us. Give me Blue Steel. Hold it.
Oh,
Do it again.
no way! No.
No, that's gonna be on the internet. By the way, Dave,
Man.
it's already on. Wow.
What?
I don't know why I did that. I recently here I just want to show you I've got some balls.
Benoit balls.
And
why do you have Benoit balls?
I've had them for 500 years. I don't know why I have them. Somebody I think gave them to me. So they've been sitting on a shelf in a little tiny red box thing for 25 years or so. And the other day I noticed I picked them up going, oh yeah, what are these things? And realized that they were, the box that they were kept in was just rotting away. It was busted and falling apart. So I thought, you know what? I got to put these in something else. So I had some large Kinder Egg things for the holidays. So now I have, a couple of plastic things with, here are my balls. So yeah, they've been on my desk for the last few days. So anyway, Dave,
You know what those are for, right?
I don't want to even just hush now. We've talked about Dave's facial hair. We don't need to talk about balls.
I got nothing to do with that.
Anyway, Alan, you actually brought us an article today.
Well, it's not really an article, but
it's an article. But anyway, so Dave, if you want to pull out your article. Wow, pull up your article. Now, this is an article that Alan has sent that has to do with identifying what your birth beer is. What type of beer is your birth beer? Now, Dave, what is your sign and your Aquarius, whatever the what are they called? Zodiac sign, and what is your birthstone?
Oh, for Christ's sake. Okay. Chinese. I am
Chinese. What?
I'm Chinese. You would never know it. Sino-Scottish, actually. But
What was your birth month?
my Chinese sign is pig.
Okay, but what is your birth
The
month?
year of the pig. Yes, that's not what I asked you though. What is your sign, man?
That
You
is
were
my
born-
sign. My
No, your zodiac sign.
That is my zodiac sign. My Western.
What
is
month were
Oh,
you
you're
born?
pulling that crap? Oh, I don't think so, sir.
What? What?
You're pulling. I know what you're doing.
It's my animal.
Anyway, if I can
in Western is
interject,
crab.
I'm going to interject. So, the Growler, which is a
That's a really important sign.
magazine that is put out by beer loving enthusiasts, and this particular thing was written by Rob Mangelsdorf. He put out a beer zodiac thing that's kind of like, if you know it, you know how some people like to read the horoscopes. Well, this is like horoscopes, but for beer. So for me, I was born in February. So apparently my beer is the English Brown Ale. And it says, you're working class and proud of it. And why shouldn't you be? You put in a hard day's work. You pay your taxes. You recycle. You're the backbone of this great nation, and you deserve a pint or 7. Now, I don't know if I really am big on English brown ales. I don't hate them. I would choose something different, but whatever. Hey, Shane, what month were you born?
What month was I born in? I was born on the first day of spring, March 20th. So basically, I am awesome.
All right. Do you want to read yours, Shane?
Mine is over here. I'm apparently ghost.
You're a ghost beer.
So yeah, you're a bit effing salty, but that's the effing way you are. And if anyone doesn't effing like it, that's too effing bad. However, while your lack of a filter is refreshing, too much can become tiresome and off-putting, especially when it comes to Dave.
So, Dave, what month were you born?
Yeah, it would have absolutely said that. Mine. Hang on a second. July. I am saison. Yeah, you're a little tart. The world could use more tarts in it, so no judgment there.
Wow. Wow.
Yes.
Okay, so which month do you wish you were, Shane?
Do I wish I was? I kind of wish I was May.
May?
Big and bold and bitter like a twice-divorced trucker with opinions no one wants to hear. You're in everyone's face, and you smell, and they can smell you from across the room. Seriously, take it down a notch.
That's the IPA. So if you're born in May, you're an IPA. I wish I was from December, which is barley wine. You give off an air of class and sophistication at first glance, but deep down, you know you're a slobbering piss tank like the rest of us. I'm a fan of November as well. November, the beer is a sour ale. What you think of as your acerbic wit looks like wanton douchebaggery to everyone else. This is why you don't get invited to parties anymore.
Nice.
I'm personally a fan of September. The Kolsch.
Okay.
You're a refreshing person to talk to. And the more time one spends with you, the more you reveal. On the surface, you hide that depth of character, but those close to you see you for the complex, affable person you are.
And we should probably say the August one because it's the Belgian Trappist ale, which is very similar to what we're drinking tonight.
I didn't realize they had that one there.
Yeah.
Outwardly, you project a sense of enlightenment. Enlightenment. There's a calmness to your demeanor, and you've worked very hard to cultivate. But it doesn't make much for everything to go off the rails. Moderation is and should be your mantra. Well done. I also kind of like the acerbic wit for the sour ale in November. And barley wine, of course, for December, which, you can't go wrong with that.
June is fucking terrible. Light
Please.
lager. I have bad news for you. Nobody likes you.
Everyone hates you.
You are what people settle for when there are literally no other options. You're as tasteless as you are transparent. Oh my god. Ouch.
That's great.
So
ouch.
I gotta bring something up here, boys. Something that really broke my heart yesterday. Let me tell you. There was a girl. No. The other day, I happened to notice not an episode, a trailer for a film that looked very convincing, and you might have seen it. It was called Dundee, the son of a legend returns home.
What?
And it's the actor Danny McBride. He's you'd probably know him if you saw him, but anyway, doesn't matter. Do a search on YouTube and check it out. But essentially, it's like they're saying that the son of Crocodile Dundee grew up in the States and had been summoned back, or had been summoned to Australia for some unknown reason. And Chris Hemsworth is in the trailer, and somebody else famous, Danny McBride, him, and somebody. But anyway, so if you watch this thing, it looks like a Crocodile Dundee-esque trailer film, but with contemporary sort of comedic tropes. And I thought, oh my god, they're actually doing another one. And supposedly, it claims that Paul Hogan was on board to reprise his role. Turns out, it's actually Tourism Australia. It's a Super Bowl campaign to bring people to Australia, and here's the thing. They had a website, they had social media accounts, they have all these things that you would think a film would actually have.
Mm-hmm.
So it was very convincing to suck people in, to go, what? Really? They're doing another one? Didn't they say everything they wanted to say with like the third one? So there you go. The third one, by the way, I saw with my sister at the Capitol 6 in Theater 1. Back in 2001, I think, when it came out. So it was I have to admit, I was kind of excited, like, wow, they really, the third Crocodile Dundee film, just why had
I
some
don't
moments
think I ever
in it.
saw it.
If you like Crocodile Dundee, it's totally worth watching, but that's the only reason you would watch that. It would not be for anything other than how did they screw this up? Kind of like watching Star Trek 3, but without Klingons and no Star Trek in it. It would just be really bad. So, because basically Star Trek 3 would be what? Actually, that there would be nothing left. Actually, after that, there'd be an exploding planet. That'll be about it. It was terrible. But anyway,
I like Star Trek 3.
No, I'm talking about Crocodile Dundee 3. Or sorry, Crocodile Dundee in Los Angeles. That was the title. So anyway, overall, bad that they're not doing a film, because I think of all the properties out there that have come out of Australia, I would not mind seeing an additional chapter that's actually, returning to what the first movie was like. Because even the second film was okay. It was just like a continuation of the story, and it had kind of a serious element to it, which I thought was kind of nice. Anyway, sorry, I keep coming back to why did they make a third?
So is Paul Hogan in this Super Bowl thing?
No, he's not in the trailer.
Didn't he die?
No, he's still alive. I actually just have. He's been fighting with all kinds of stuff because the tax man in Australia keeps coming after him. What is he doing? He got divorced from what's her face, the woman who was in Crocodile Dundee,
Linda Kozlowski.
Yeah, they got divorced a number of years back.
Why do I know that? Why do I know that the chick's name is Linda Kozlowski?
Don't know.
I should not know that.
They got divorced in 2014. But yeah, he's been really getting screwed for all kinds of tax stuff. I gather his former manager ran away with a bunch of money, and has kind of left. Yes, that Walt. Now Walt's dead, which is sad because he was the best thing about the entire thing. So yeah, I don't. I'm kind of sad that there is no additional Star Trek. There's no additional Crocodile Dundee. But yeah, so that broke my heart this week. That's really it set the tone for the entire week that I am mourning a film that was never actually being made. So that's how lame my life has become.
They've done that before in the Super Bowl where it looked like they were making a sequel to Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and it ended up just being a Super Bowl commercial.
You know, I don't watch the Super Bowl, although I did actually watch part of the blowout game on the weekend, where I think it was a 37 or 38-7. I think the Eagles lost, or did they win?
The Eagles won.
The Eagles won. So the Eagles are in the Super Bowl along with the Patriots. It was an amazing game, I gotta say. I'm not huge. I mean, you can see the differences between that and the CFL. And you know, wimps, come on. You need 4 downs? Really? Dudes, come on. So yeah, anyway.
You know, I actually worked with an American who's a boss of mine for a little bit, and he told us he actually enjoyed CFL more than NFL. This was an American.
Yeah, weird.
I always thought that was kind of trippy.
Well, you know, there are Americans out there that like the CFL, and I think it's evidence to when years ago when the CFL expanded into the United States, and they actually had like 4 teams in the United States. Wow. And it didn't last long. I think it lasted like 2 seasons or something. Then all those teams folded. But
well, I'm sure the NFL did everything absolutely in its power to kick the shit out of the CFL in the States because they would not want to be giving up market share.
No, probably. Sure. Now, I mean, the CFL was in cities that did not have NFL teams. But it was kind of interesting. It's like, you know, when most professional sports leagues expand to a city, they don't immediately become championship candidates. Usually, in the CFL, when the CFL expanded to 4 teams in the United States, immediately those teams became the favorites and won the Grey Cup.
Seriously?
Well, I don't remember if they won the Grey Cup, but they competed for it at minimum. And wow. I think in the first year it was one of those American teams that won the Grey Cup.
Wow.
Now what's flying?
Hey, Allison, when did one of the American expansion teams for the CFL win the Grey Cup? 2000. We had expansion teams in 2009?
No, it wasn't that. It was longer ago than that. But what's flying in the face of this is in the NHL this year they expanded into Las Vegas. The Las Vegas team, which basically has a bunch of spare parts that nobody else wanted, is in first place in the entire NHL. And
hang on, Alan. Sorry, what, Allie? 1995. What was the team called? The Baltimore Stallions. Sorry, keep going.
So the Las Vegas Golden Knights are actually, I believe, the odds-on favorite right now to actually win the Stanley Cup in their first year with spare parts from other teams.
Holy cow.
Which is unreal. This is unheard of. Everybody thought they would just be like, a cellar dweller this year, and they have been anything but. And I think part of the issue is that when teams play them in Las Vegas, the players go partying. They party, and then they go to the game, and they're totally spent. And it's just easy. But the thing of it is, when the Golden Knights go on the road, they're winning there as well. So there's something, I don't know what's going on there, but
I bet you it's the other teams are just fucking cocky. Because they're thinking, these guys are spare parts. First year, they gotta be a garbage team.
I would have agreed with that into November. We're at the point now in the season where nobody should be taking these guys lightly. They are literally in first place in the entire league. The playoffs start in what? 2.5 months, 3 months. If they're not taking these guys seriously, they need to start taking them seriously now.
Okay, so what's the spread between them and number 2?
Well, it's not a big spread between them and number 2. But I mean, the fact that an expansion team in their first year is in first place for even just a day is unheard of. Unheard of.
They must have a good coaching staff.
Well, and their general manager is George McPhee, who used to be the general manager of the Washington Capitals. So I mean, he's got experience. Their goalie is the former goalie of the Pittsburgh Penguins, who has won at least a couple Stanley Cups. But he's been injured for, at least half the season. So I don't know if I can really put my finger on it. The people who are scoring their goals are not the kind of people that you would consider to be perennial goal scorers. So I don't know what's going on with it. I'm having fun watching it. I'm having fun betting on their games, actually, because I've been winning some money by betting on their games. Yeah. It's just kind of interesting how sports goes.
Hey, how about that Bitcoin?
Okay, I've kind of wanted to talk about this
about Bitcoin
for the past little while.
Okay,
Bitcoin. So I'm going to come out on a limb here, and I'm going to say I don't really understand the whole blockchain thing, like the technology behind it. I understand that it's sort of like almost like a crowdsourced ledger. Is that an accurate way of putting it?
Pretty good. It's a distributed ledger, so that means that no single person has control over said ledger.
I don't understand why that makes a difference. Without getting too technical and taking like an hour to explain it, explain it in like 2 minutes or less. Shane, go.
Essentially, it is a response to the 2008 financial collapse to try and make financial transactions far more transparent in terms of being able to, as you were saying, kind of like a ledger, being able to, it's a bit more than that, but essentially, if you boil everything down, that's essentially what it is. Now, the problem with that is it's a great way to do all kinds of cool things by with that, things you'd actually want to know in terms of transactional data. But the biggest problem is that it's being abused. It's been abused since the beginning, but it is being abused even more, where it's basically turned into like a stock, and it's being treated like a stock, buy low, sell high kind of thing. And a lot of companies, just in the past couple of weeks, a lot of companies that were encouraging people to make purchases with Bitcoin technology have now stepped away and said they're no longer going to be doing that. It's too volatile, and the corruption that's been going on is kind of sad, because essentially you could create. Here's the thing. Somebody can create an exchange for very little money to actually create their own coin and put it onto the market. Problem with that is we've seen a lot of exchanges close and basically walk away with hundreds of millions of dollars that people cannot claim, even though they have this transactional record. The money has just been funneled off and disappeared. So I don't know. It's just one of those things that I've never really been behind. I can see that, yeah, it's made quite a few people money right now. But it's not a long-term thing in its current iteration. I suspect, give another 20 years of the product to go through some sort of evolution, it might become useful. But this is the thing, right? For the entire history of financial services that have existed on this planet,
you're at 2 minutes.
There's always been gold, right? Gold has sort of been one of those elements that we prefer to give value to and use that as a physical currency.
However, we haven't had the gold standard for decades.
No, shut up, you conspiracy piece of crap.
No, that's not conspiracy. That's a basic fact. We have not used gold standard for decades.
Shut up.
Sorry to pop your bubble.
I'm not. Hey, I have no bubble about this. I don't really care. But the reality is that we've had this gold standard, as Dave is pointing out, for a long time. Now, in theory, we have governments that guarantee certain amounts of money should we have some sort of nefarious fallback or failure or whatever. South Korea has actually been pushing this as well, because South Korea has some sort of guaranteed stuff with bank accounts and stuff like that. And a lot of people have been going bankrupt because of Bitcoin. And South Korea was saying, you know what? You guys are extra stupid, so we're not going to allow that to happen anymore by talking about banning Bitcoin from their country. So, or cryptocurrencies in general. So, but again, I mean, overall, whether people think it's good or bad, I think it's kind of a cool technology. I think it has a place somewhere. But the abuse is just like any other financial system. Once there's money involved, people figure out ways to rip people off, and unfortunately, as
so let me ask you,
right?
If you were walking down the street and you found a couple $100 lying there, would you invest it in like Litecoin or?
No, I'd invest it in beer.
Good answer.
I mean, this is the thing, right? I mean, a lot of people right now are going through this sort of weird conversation, this looping conversation about how does Bitcoin have value, and it's nothing. It's like a virtual thing that doesn't really have any tangible value. But so do stocks, right? So but again,
so I disagree.
There's I mean, here's the thing there's organizations and structures for financial systems that have existed for a long time, that in theory protect, track, gain, whatever. We've seen people abuse those as well. But is cryptocurrency the answer? Is it a technology that cures those problems? Hell no. And because the main problem is humans get involved and they figure out ways to do exactly the same crap that the other systems are plagued with. So at the end of the day, good luck to people paying a lot of money to get into these currencies. But just remember, they act more like stock exchanges than banks. And if you put money into them, be prepared to lose that entire amount and not whine about it, because there will be nothing you can do. Like if you go to a bank and you invest in something and somebody screws something up, you at least have some recourse. You can go to the institution and say, your employee or whoever the hell screwed me over. What are you going to do for me? And they might be able to give you some restitution of some sort. Would that be the recovery of money? Probably not. Would they try and make you happy? Of course they would. But you can't do that with cryptocurrencies. There's no regulation. It's the Wild West. And so don't go into it thinking you can do something about it if something goes wrong. You're basically screwed. So, but again, I mean, this is the thing. As the technology evolves, it's going to find some place to be, and it's going to do it very well. Whether that's tomorrow or 10 years from now, who knows? Yeah.
I have a proposal for you guys.
Mm-hmm.
We create something called Beer Coin. We start selling it. Okay. And we collect the profits and we start our own brewery with it.
So Beer Coin exists. Started a year ago. Current price on Beer Coin, $0. So
okay, Beer Coin 2.0.
Beer Coin 2.0. Apparently, there are some companies that have signed on to sell beer using
Suds Coin.
These. So yeah,
Suds Coin. That's ours.
Exactly. So I mean, who knows, man? I mean, it's going to be one of those things where you can track what's being sold back and forth, but really a technology that makes that public information because you can't actually tell who did the transaction, stuff like that. Who knows? Again,
transactions is Bitcoin, not Bitcoin, blockchain.
I would actually agree. There's definitely, this is what I'm saying, that there has to be a fit for it somewhere. But in order for it to fit in with the financial systems that we have now, it's going to have to be regulated at some point. By whom, I don't know, but it will have to be regulated, because otherwise it's just going to be the same crap, just in a different way. And this is the problem, you know?
But I think that's part of the reason for the design of it, so that it's meant to get around the traditional banks.
Yeah, but that never works. Not the traditional banks work really either, but they work a hell of a lot better and are a bit more predictable than what blockchain is doing. So
predictable, yes, good. Yeah.
This is the thing, man. I couldn't tell you. It's again, it's a very new thing. It's been around for less than a decade. It's been around in people's consciousness and actually been doing something for only a couple of years. So, you know, it's like whether or not, like, if who's going to invent the next biggest, awesomest ramen noodle? Like, it's the same argument, right? Who's going to invent who knows? Maybe somebody goes, well, blockchain was a good idea, but here's something way better, and they might create something like that. So, but a lot of the stuff right now, I mean, it's very much behaving like bubble territory, because people get excited. I've seen it happen in people that I know. They get excited about something, they mortgage their house, and they end up losing their house, going, why? Well, because you made a gamble and you bet on something that hopefully would pay off, and it didn't. And the reality is, I mean, a lot of these things I don't think pay off as much as they fail. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, it was interesting. I think it was your mom actually posted an article about Bitcoin on Facebook.
I don't go on there that much, but let's go take a look. Where's my mother here? Is this recent?
Maybe last week or something.
Well, let's see.
Anyway, it was about a guy's unwilling venture into Bitcoin. So this is a guy that became a partner in a business and was given a Bitcoin, like an actual physical coin, at some point that had a redeemable number on it. And this was back in 2011 or something. And he put it away in a box. Completely forgot about it. And recently discovered that it was worth like, I don't know, $15,000 or something like that. So I went on this frantic search for the coin in his house, and he found it. And it sort of goes through the process that he went trying to actually sell this thing.
Oh God, yeah.
Redeem it for money. And the perils and the pitfalls involved. And in the time that it took him to try to sell it, it had raised in value up to like $25,000 or something like that. And essentially, he opened the account and everything that he needed to do to sell this thing. But to sell it, there's sort of like a minimum charge. And that's what he paid. And he was wondering, why isn't it selling? And that's because the different techies out there that sell these things, they're not going to go for somebody who offers the minimum amount of money to sell it when somebody else is offering more. It's sort of like if you offer more than everybody else, somebody's going to jump on your sell. So this guy was just offering the minimum, which is why it wasn't selling. And he couldn't figure out how to go in and change how much money he was willing to spend in order to sell his Bitcoin. It was kind of interesting.
Sounds
if you're not
convoluted, actually,
it's convoluted, and if you're not pre-educated about the process, you can get yourself fucked over really, really fast.
Yeah, well, that's actually something I didn't mention, is that it takes an average of 10 days to sell. And it is you're hit with little fees here and there, like at every step. So everyone's taking a piece. That's the thing. And even if you have something that's worth 25,000, you could spend $1,000 just trying to sell it. So
that's not terrible though, considering your take.
No, true, but it is, again, an unregulated system that has no oversight of any kind other than you trust somebody to do these things. And I mean, you want to set up an exchange and start up your own coin. Cost is about $25,000. So it doesn't cost much to set these things up. So any nefarious jackass could set one up, and it could be as legitimate as it looks, and then
So why don't we do that?
Because I'm not about to spend $25,000 to start up a coin.
You don't do that. I mean, you get a bunch of investors.
No, I suppose if you really wanted to, but if you, I mean, again,
I'm sure your dad would pony up like a Finsky.
Yeah. I got a case of beer I'm not drinking. I can totally, will that help? Yeah, it'll help us drown our sorrows and sadness. I don't know. It's something that I just kind of, I don't know. I am far too much of a skeptic to trust it And and initially I thought, I could get in on that. That sounds really interesting. But then it was when the first exchange, some exchange's name is long lost to my memory, closed and disappeared with like $8 million. And people were like, how is this possible? How did this actually happen? Like, what the hell? And essentially the exchanges ripped people off and disappeared. And then that happened several dozen more times to the tune of like, $1 billion.
And if it's not regulated, then is what these guys are doing
call
illegal?
The police, and the police are like, where are they? Well, I don't know. Well, we don't know either. So, it's sad. And I'm sure people have gone to jail for that kind of thing. But again,
could you go to jail for it if it's not regulated though?
Of course you could, because fraud still exists. It's illegal to steal people's money for no particular reason other than just taking it. Like Dave has no idea that you and I have fleeced him for what? 10, $15 recently. So,
Totally.
he's a big spender.
Oh, you
He is
bitches.
a mark. Yeah, exactly. I couldn't buy lunch yesterday. What the hell? Come and get you guys. I don't know. I'm just too much of a skeptic, and I'm not a rah. And like as anyone who knows me as a nerd, I am not an early adopter. I refuse to buy the latest thing because it's cool. I'm one of those people that's like, I need to know what the value is. I need to know exactly why this will benefit whatever. And I need to know. I before I even go, yeah, that's a great idea. And fellow nerds have made fun of me for that attitude, because a lot of them are jumping on this, that, and the other thing. I remember somebody buying a 3D printer and going, "Why, you should get one too." And I'm like, what am I going to do with a 3D printer? Well, you could totally do this, that, and the other thing and do that. Well, I'm not interested in doing that one thing you want to do. So, do I really need another toy in my life? Not really. If I want a toy, I'm going to buy a toy that I'm actually going to love, and not something I just get because it's cool. Because
I'm not going to buy a 3D printer until I can get like a replicator kind of thing.
Well, exactly. Like there's really,
I want to go to a computer and say tea Earl Grey hot and have it just go.
Which, by the way, speaking of tea Earl Grey hot, I did see I've forgotten the channel. It's a Star Trek-y review channel. The guy delves into different sort of societal things and some really cool stuff about Star Trek, science fiction in general, but he does talk about Star Trek a lot. But he did actually say that, people in Star Trek land, people who are fans, know tea Earl Grey hot. And so he actually went through every single episode of Star Trek to find out, when did Picard actually drink tea. And it was something like only 7 times in the 7 years of that show. Oh, wow. So something that we're like, he was doing it every episode. No, he did it like 7 times. And even a couple of those times were sort of tea. Damn it, or whatever. Or drinking tea where he never, you don't see him go to the replicator. But they only really targeted the episodes where he actually went to the replicator, said the line, or some variation of it. And I don't think he included, I forgot, there's one of the TNG movies where he does it as well, but that was not included. But again, it's like a handful of times where people are like, yeah, it was every single episode 4 or 5 times. It was amazing. The guy drank so much tea. He's like some sort of addict. But no, he really wasn't. He just
my favorite one was in the final episode, All Good Things. And it was the future Picard, and they're at Data's office
Chateau.
at the University of.
Oh, right, yeah.
And the secretary comes in, who's a human being, and she has like a platter of tea, and he looks at her and goes, "Tea Earl Grey hot," and she's like, "Well, of course it's hot."
I mean, this is the thing, right? With all of these things like replicators, cryptocurrencies, all these sorts of things, I think ultimately we all really seek the tangible. We really seek something that we can touch and hold on to, and there's some sort of physical representation that we will go and seek those things out. And where what does he say? Kirk in, is it Star Trek 2? Flying around the galaxies for the young or something. Where he's kind of said, okay, I'm good with not really, but I'm okay with being an admiral and sitting around on Earth and doing this stupid crap that I'm doing. But
TPS reports,
yeah. And but I think ultimately that we all kind of really want that sense of adventure. I mean, right now, I'm reading a book about pirates, and so that's sort of the golden age of piracy in the Caribbean and the east coast of North America and whatnot. And there were a lot of people that were going there because they were seeking fame and fortune. Like we're talking like gold rush sort of attitudes. And the thing that of all of these things that I keep reading about, a lot of the discussion seems to be around people making their fortune, wanting to go out and do things, which is a very common thing when you're a young person and you want to go out and take on the world. But a lot of these guys were talking about freedom and being able to just do what you needed to do and do what you wanted to do, while existing in this cool environment where you have a ship or you're working on a ship and you're going to these places and basically adventuring around the world. And we don't do that anymore. We can't. There's no, the frontier is gone. Kind of like in Dances with Wolves, the character of John Dunbar goes to the weird little tiny outpost and says, I want to go and see the frontier. And like, why the hell do you want to do that? And he's like, before it's gone. And we don't have any frontiers left except for, and a lot of the time people think I'm kidding, but if somebody pointed at me and said, you've been selected to go to Mars, I'd be like, done. Let's go. Where's the suit? Get me in it. What do I need to do? And am I coming back? No. Oh, well, I'll stay there. It'll be fine.
Really,
I could blow up too. Because there is a piece of me still alive that wants to do adventurous stuff. Something that no one else has done or very few people have done. And, I just, there's something about me that enjoys that idea. And growing up, how many times do we get to really do that? When I was born, there were 3.2 billion people on the planet. Now we have, like, we're getting close to 8. By 2050, we'll have 10. We got to get off this rock, man. Adventures out there. I want to be battling the alien with a flamethrower in the vents. That's what I want. I died. was it?
Go over, you bitch.
Exactly. Like, those are the sorts of things I would like to do. But I mean, granted, of course, I can't be on a ship out in space because they don't exist. But that's the kind of have that blood boiling part. That's like, before I die, I got to do some cool adventure.
You want to be on Mars so you can say, game over, man. Game over.
That would be kind of cool, actually. Bill Paxton, we miss you, sir. What's really funny? Speaking of Bill Paxton and Game Over, I was actually watching a tribute to him on Netflix or I can't remember. Actually, it's probably YouTube. Where it was a tribute of works that he had done. It was directors talking about him and people that we'd worked with and stuff. And one of the scenes that I had completely forgotten about was when he gets turned into a pile of shit in the film Weird Science. I loved that film growing up. I remember we did this letter campaign when I was in like grade 4 or something, where we had to write a letter to who was the prime minister in like mid 80s. I can't even think of it.
It would be Trudeau.
Was it Trudeau? Yeah. Okay. So we had to write a letter to the PM to say, don't embrace anything nuclear weapon. We're like, please tell Ronald Reagan to not nuke us. And I wrote out, nuclear weapons are weird science. And I actually spent like what felt like days trying to write and replicate the logo from the movie. So there you go. Yeah, I love that film. And I'd actually completely forgotten that Bill Paxton was in that. And he got turned into a pile of shit. Wow, that guy was awesome. If only we could be Bill Paxton. I mean, really.
Yeah.
All right, boys. It's that time. It's we've been recording for a while, so I want to say thank you again for coming this week. This is episode 130. The beer today is the
Fin Du Monde from Unibroue,
and I need to go get one because I like that beer. But overall,
it's a good beer.
Next week, we'll be back. We'll of course bring you the latest and greatest in what kind of beer you should be drinking, and also what kind of beer you should be making. Alan, take us out.
Yeah, I will in a sec.
Nothing but a professional podcast.